Y'all, I can't tell you how much I just sat and contemplated, tried to talk myself out of just picking up this camera and recording. I was trying to justify, yeah, let's do it another day. I'm not feeling like it. I don't really have anything to vlog today. But I'm just like, girl, people literally want to see just your day to day, your life, the mundane. You don't have to wait until you got something going on per se to pick up that camera. So if this could be encouragement to anybody, whatever you're putting off doing, whether that be content, whether that be something for your job, for your business, whether that be your relationship with the Lord first and foremost, just do it. It don't gotta look pretty. It don't gotta be the most done up thing in the world. It don't gotta be the most strategically thought out plan in the world being executed. No, sometimes it's gonna look a little ugly. Sometimes you're gonna be flying the plane while you're building it, and that's okay. At least you're giving God something to work with, right? As opposed to you sitting back and not doing anything and hoping that the inspiration, hoping that the motivation, hoping that the encouragement to do that thing will come back another day. Let this be your sign to get up and do that thing, to get up and press record, to finish that assignment, to get into your word, to bet on yourself, to start that business, to do that thing. I'm telling you, go for it. Okay? I wasn't expecting to get motivational with y'all in the beginning of this video. That wasn't what I had planned. I don't even know what I had planned. I don't think I had anything planned, better yet, but it wasn't that. Anyways, I'm not doing anything but waiting for this maintenance man to come and put a new battery in the lock on my front door, because I can't leave. So now in order to even leave my apartment, I have to wait for somebody to come replace the battery because it's Saturday. And maintenance is off for the weekend, rightfully so, enjoying their weekend. So I had to put in an emergency work request. I know y'all want to be cute with the keyless entry and everything. Please stop putting these keyless entry locks on places where it's just like, you shouldn't have done that. In my case, it turns into an inconvenience. I was supposed to go to the grocery store at about 10 a.m. this morning. It's 2 p.m. The stores are flooded with people. And the way I go into stores and I just be like getting overwhelmed, overstimulated, as the girls say, with all the people in there, it's too late. It's too late. We got to go tomorrow morning. Got to go tomorrow morning before church. I think that's what we're going to do because I can't do it. I tried to place an online order with Sprouts. Sprouts was out of everything and they told me they wouldn't get a shipment until later today. Well, my girl, later today, everybody and their mama going to be in the store. Anyways, that's what I'm up to. But update, I did receive a monitor from my job to replace the monitor that I currently do have on my desk right now. Actually, let me go ahead and take it out. That's what I could be doing. I could be taking it out and getting it set up. But I'm excited about this because I think it's a little bigger than the one I have. I think I'm gonna like it better than the monitor I have. It might handle that 4K a little bit better. Oh no, y'all tell me. Yeah. All right, here we go. Okay, here go the stand. Power cord. Take this off. Child, they had me thinking this screen was ginormous the way this box was set up. Uh-oh. Let's not drop it, Corey. Okay, maybe I was tripping. This monitor is actually pretty large. Ooh, it's heavy. This right here is my current monitor. It's actually relatively small. I did not know it was this small. Yeah, this is actually really tiny compared to this new one. Okay, let's set this down on the floor here. You're holy forever. Oh, worthy. Okay. Yeah. Mighty, mighty, mighty good healer. We know who you are, God. You're good. Child, I'm in a singing mood, in a give God all the praise he is due type mood, in a lift up your voice and shout unto the Lord type mood. Come on, that is the mood that I'm in right now. So you're gonna have to excuse me. But I got home from church. Well, it's been a minute since I got home from church. I'm settled in now, amen, from church. And 1 second. Because I'm about to burn broccoli. How you burn broccoli? That's a really hard concept to understand. Yeah, so I'm just trying to put me something together quickly after church. This is no extravagant meal at all, but it's gonna get the job done today. I forgot to tell y'all on my way to church, somebody literally threw something in my car out of their car window while their car was moving. I don't know if he meant to do it, I don't know, but I didn't have the most Christ-like reaction because I was just like, what make you think you can throw something in my car and get away with it? Ooh. I definitely had to repent afterwards because it was kind of crazy. So aside from that story I just told y'all about how somebody literally threw something out of their window at my car, I've been enjoying Dallas a lot. I know that God ordained this move, that he ordered my steps to even get out here, just because I can see his hand all over this move, over just my life here. And even though I'm in a place where I'm still trying to establish communities, still trying to find a church home, and even in a place where I still don't live in the same state as my family, I'm still trying to establish community here. I feel a sense of peace, contentment, a sense of being settled. And I can recognize this feeling because I lived in a place for a little too long, in my opinion, where I didn't feel settled for so long. So when I got here and instantly felt settled, even in all the uncertainty, the fact that I'm, like I said, still far from family, I'm still in my engagement season, so I'll still be out here by myself. But even in all of that, like I'm out here alone, navigating yet again a whole nother place that's far from people that I love, but I still feel peace. I feel like God is so present. I feel him so near to me out here. Even in the not so good times, I see the fruit of my obedience. Like I see it so clearly. And I'm so grateful to the Lord for moving me out here, for just putting the people, the places, the resources in place for me to move from Portland to Dallas. Because this wasn't easy, and I'll go into the whole backstory in a second. And please, before we go any further, do not hear what I am not saying. Portland was a beautiful place and chapter, and it gave me so much. It was a place where I gave God a serious yes and got baptized, made friends who turned into my family away from family, pursued one of the biggest dreams I've had since college, and made a home thousands of miles away from the home I'd always known. I just knew it wasn't a forever thing. The moving process was not easy. That was literally 7 months, plus like a year and some change of planning before that even took place, where I was just like craving to get out of Portland to Texas, and God made it happen. But I do want to make it clear that God is the one that made clear to me that Dallas was the place to go. And I'll explain more of that as I get into the story on how this all happened, how I got out here, and how I'm still working for the same company, even though I'm not in the state that it's headquartered in. So quick rundown of how it all happened. Around the middle of the year in 2023, I started to get very much so weary and well-doing. It's not that I wasn't happy in the job that I was doing, but I felt like it wasn't a forever thing, and no job is, but I just didn't see myself long-term like growing in that role. I wasn't super passionate about it. A little later that year, I met my now fiance, and from the beginning, we were always super intentional about our relationship. We both knew very early on in our relationship that we wanted to get married, so it wasn't taboo to talk about the future and to talk about where we ultimately felt like the Lord was leading us in terms of a place to live or a state to close the gap in, because we've always been long distance as long as we dated. It was crazy because unknowingly we both had the same desire in terms of where we wanted to move. It was either Chicago or we wanted to go to Dallas. And I remember the night that we told each other, and we were just like, this is weird. Those are the two places you'd want to move? That was God right there within itself. Just kind of like aligning our desires that early on was so cool to see. And so after that conversation, I started out with my eyes set on Chicago. So I'm like, okay, I can move to the Midwest. We can close the gap. We'll already be super close. I had this whole plan in my head of how I was going to get out to Chicago, and it'd be so easy because we'd close the gap significantly and we'd be together forever and ever and ever. And how I would be close to my family who's in Detroit, and it would just be the perfect thing ever. That did not go as planned. Like I said, I had started making a plan to move to Chicago or to get into a role that would allow me to work in Chicago. And so to give you guys context, I was in material development at the time. So I was working directly on the shoes. In order to get out to Chicago, I had to switch to marketing. If you're in the corporate world, that's a very large jump to make. It's a very large jump to make. If you don't have an MBA, if you don't have a background in marketing in any type of way, that is a gigantic jump to make, okay? I have an engineering degree. I was trying to jump into marketing. Even with me knowing this, I knew like I do not want to be in Portland long term. So we got to make something shake. Chicago is where I set my vision first. I arranged for different meetings with different people who worked out in our Chicago headquarters. And it was so crazy because as I was talking to, I forget what his position was. He was like getting updates, and basically it diminished my chances of even exploring going out there. I saw that very clearly as God like shutting that door and shutting it so firmly because I literally had no way to even like weasel myself in there. At the beginning of the call, it was about maybe like an 80% chance that I could move out there. By the end of the call, 0% chance, literally 0% chance. After that phone call, I was like, okay, back to the drawing board. I knew very clearly that the Lord was telling me, no, this is not it. Because God knew that I'd already set up that plan and that I was going head first in the direction of Chicago. And it literally crumbled right before my eyes. Me and my now fiance, then boyfriend, we reconvened. We were like, okay, so Dallas? And I was just like, okay, well, our office out in Dallas, that would be a much more feasible jump because I'd be jumping from material development to product testing. To give you perspective, we both work directly on product. Product testing takes the feedback from the athlete and brings it to the project team. Material development is on the project team. So let's say product testing puts the shoe on an athlete, comes back and tells the team there's an issue with the material on this shoe. Then the material developer works with the vendor to solve said issue. So as you can pretty much see, those roles work really closely together. It's not as big of a jump that material development to marketing was because marketing and material development were in two totally different realms of the company. But product testing and material development worked hand in hand every single day. So it was a much more feasible jump for me to make, and I knew I could make it a lot sooner. So that's the direction that we headed in. Again, like I had done with the Chicago office, I had started setting up meetings, talking to different people in the office out here, and everyone was super receptive to me expressing interest to come out here. And I felt like this was God, like pushing me in this direction. All I needed to figure out was how I was going to get out here because a role needed to become available, needed to be created on my behalf in order for me to shift out here. And also, I was still in material development, so I wasn't a product testing analyst, which is what I needed to be in order to even be out here to begin with. Fast forward to June, July of 2024. That's when my manager in material development came to me and was like, hey, a role opened up in product testing based out of headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. Do you want to take it? And I'm like, no, I'm going to wait for a position out in Dallas to open and then I'll take that. And she told me, she was like, basically, girl, I don't know when a position in Dallas is going to open. The team is super small out there. We don't know when that's going to become available. So you might as well take this role here at headquarters and make your chances of jumping to that team higher because now you'll be in product testing. You won't have to worry about jumping into a whole nother role. You'll already be a product testing analyst. All you'll have to do then is move out to Texas or convince your team why you should be able to move to Texas. And y'all, I was so like, I did not know what to do. I didn't know whether to apply to that role, whether to leave it alone. Fasted on that and I prayed for my answer until I got it. And it didn't come until right before I had went to sleep the night of my fast. I had just broken my fast and I was headed to bed. And right before I had gone to bed, I received an email from my now manager out here telling me to apply for the role at headquarters. It was crazy the timing of it because I had sent the email to him maybe like 4 days prior. He typically responded back to me sooner than he did that time. So when his message came through right before I was about to go to sleep, and it was crazy because at the end of my fast, I was so convinced that the Lord was telling me not to apply for the role. And I was like, all right, Lord, I'm about to end this fast. You know, speak now, forever hold your peace. I didn't say that verbatim, but that's kind of like the conversation that me and the Lord were having. I was like, what I'm feeling is that you telling me not to go for this role. And so I'm not going to. And I left it at that. Ended my fast, was about to go to bed, and then just so happened to look at my email and saw that maybe like 30 minutes prior to me looking at my email, my now manager had sent an email to me telling me to go for the role. And so that's how I even got into product testing to begin with. I spent a year in that role from August 24 to August 25. It was in February of 25, so earlier last year, that I pretty much reached my wit's end out in Portland. So I went to leadership and I was telling them like, hey, I basically can't do this. I'm not showing up as my best self out here. I'm not doing doing the type of work I know I'm capable of. I'm fighting for my life out here. What can I do to get up out of here and to move to our office in Texas? And my VP, she laid it out for me, basically exactly what I was going to do to move out to Texas. At the time when she laid it out before my eyes, I was super overwhelmed. I was like, Lord, I can't do this. I'm not gonna do this. But it kind of came down to the whole, how bad do you want it? You know what I'm saying? Like me asking myself, how bad do you want this? Right? You're gonna go after something with all you have if you really want it. I knew that if I was to embark on that journey of building a business case to convince a whole enterprise on why it is that they needed to shift me out of Beaverton into Dallas, Texas, I knew God needed to be with me every single step of the way. I knew it. I couldn't have it any other way. And I was so conscious of consulting God every single step of the way. Like I didn't leave him out of anything. There were times where I just threw up my hands and God literally pulled me back into the mix, lifted my head and set me on my way. I remember vividly throwing in the towel, having breakdowns and like literally just feeling like everybody hates my idea. They're not going to move me out here. It's not gonna happen. Like, Lord, I'm getting so much pushback. I'm getting so much critique in my presentations. And it just seems like no one's bought into it. God would literally answer me, let me know, whether it be sending a person, a thing as confirmation to keep going. I gave up on that process multiple times. And every single time I did, God came back and was like, hey, you got to get up and keep going. So from February to I believe like early April, I spent making a proposal, basically pitching to my team like, hey, if you send me out here for 2 weeks, I'll get after X, Y, and Z. Then I'll come back and present my final proposal to make the permanent move. So at the end of April, going into May, I spent 2 weeks out in Dallas from the end of April to the beginning of May, basically every day, just going out, speaking to people, just getting after building that business case. And then I came back to headquarters. I had to build out that presentation to explain my case, break it down in terms of like what all I did out there, what all I can do if they let me move out there, and just present them with the facts on why it would be a smart business move for them to move me out to Dallas, Texas. That was in May of 2025. After I presented that, I didn't get my yes until September of 2025. There were so many chains of command that had to come into alignment for this overarching goal. And I'm just so glad that God saw fit for all of those people to come into alignment, all of those teams to just come together and be like, yes, this would be a great business move to move Corey out to Texas. So yeah, in a nutshell, that is how I got my approval to move out to Texas. And yeah, that still to this day is one of the hardest things that I've had to do, because so many times while I was in that process, I felt so alone. I felt like I was building something from the ground up. Like I was making the parameters for that project. I didn't have a blueprint for it. I was my own blueprint. That was the hardest thing. And on top of that, I was trying to remain sane and trying to remain hopeful while waiting on this yes, while still being in Oregon and still feeling like, Lord, have you forgotten about me? You told me to keep going. And I've done all of this, went out to Dallas for 2 weeks, literally stressed myself out. Y'all should have seen the stats on my Oura Ring for those 2 weeks. It was crazy. Nothing but just stress. Every day, all day, stress. I'm like, Lord, has nothing come of it? But that season was so important for me, and it was so transformative for me, so pivotal, because I truly learned how to wait well, what it meant to wait well, especially when it feels like nothing is going your way, like life is turning upside down, everything is against you. And it's not just about the move. Things in my personal life were just turning upside down, and God taught me how, in a season where I felt very isolated, how to wait well, how to hear his voice, how to seek his face, how to abide in him, and how to depend on him as the lifter of my head, as my redeemer, as my keeper, as Lord of hosts. Before I went into every meeting, I called on the Lord of hosts. I said, God, you gotta fight this battle for me, because I can't do it. In every battle, every meeting, every lie from the enemy that was sent, God had already gone before me and defeated each and every obstacle. So, that was pretty lengthy. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Amen. But God gets all the glory, honor, and the praise. Because without him, I would not be here. I would not be here. Because this seemed like a distant dream. Around this time last year, I was literally holding on with everything in me. Let's call a spade a spade. Depression had hit me, okay? Hard. Loneliness had hit me. Anxiety had hit me. I had isolated myself. I didn't have any motivation to do anything, see anyone, spend time with any friends. The only times I really got out was when I visited my fiance in Milwaukee. That's literally the only times I really got out. Outside of that, like, I was inside, literally just isolated, which had its pros because I really learned how to go deeper in Christ then, but it definitely had its cons because coming out of that, I still am having to learn how to come out of that mentality. Like, girl, that fear of being seen, stop that. Come out of that. Like, please come out of that. And I've made leaps and bounds since moving here, just past that fear of being seen, fear of being around people. Because that's really what it came down to. I had a deep fear of being seen. I was dealing with a lot in terms of my appearance where I did not want anybody to see me. I did not want to see anybody. It was easy to isolate myself because I didn't have many friends. So nobody was really like checking for me like that outside of work. It wasn't the hardest to kind of just fade to the back and just, just ride that wave. God is a redeemer. My goodness. Because the way I came out here and he has just been pulling me slowly but surely out of that. I look back and I don't recognize that person I was. I feel for her. I love her. And she's important to my story. But I'm so glad God brought me through that. I went on a whole tangent. I was not supposed to go on that tangent. Anyways, let me go. Let me give y'all ear a break.